Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right, everybody. Thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin' Robbie Billups. This is the weekly comic book review. It's the show I read a lot of comic books, and I'll let you know what I thought about them. But before we get into that, happy Robbie Week, everybody. That's right, my birthday is Friday, May 10th. I will be 43 years old, but it doesn't mean that I still don't enjoy my birthday. So I hope everybody has checked us out on our social medias, on Instagram, on Facebook, and you have taken on your Robbie Week assignments. Don't worry, it's nothing extraneous or anything like that. All you got to do is just kind of watch some shows, watch some movies, eat some tacos, read some comics, reflect on your life, things like that. But anyway, if you do feel so inclined and want to send your favorite comic book YouTube reviewer a gift for his birthday, in the description is a link to my birthday wish list on Amazon where you can buy something and have it sent right to me. If you are so inclined to do so, please let me know that it's you so I can reach out and give you a heartfelt and very warm and welcoming thank you. Anyway, all the support we need is you being here checking out the video. We always start this video with the pick of the week, and this week's pick of the week, Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, issue number 6. This is the final issue of what I will now say is a pretty much pitch perfect, damn near comic book masterpiece. Paul or Patrick? Is it Patrick? It's Patrick Horvath. Patrick Horvath is the writer and the illustrator of this book. And what it is it's been a book. Some people say it's like Dexter meets like a children's story book, right? So it's a world populated by cute animals, right? That is impeccably drawn. And it has a sense of melancholy. So even though it has this interesting juxtaposition between the lighthearted, charming nature of the artwork, but then the serious vibe of the story. But do not be misled. It's not like the artwork doesn't lean into that atmosphere as well. The artwork also has this undertone of an unsettling nature, right? But it's about this small town in which lives a serial killer. Somebody else starts killing people in this town, and this serial killer now has to right the ship again, right? This book has been amazing since the get-go. Since the first page, panel 1, this book has never misfired. It has always had an exceptional pace. It's always had great characterizations. It's always had an unsettling tone and atmosphere. And it keeps building and building suspense until you get here to the end, which is the most unsettling, unnerving issue of the series yet. It's awesome. It is freaking awesome. Patrick Horvath, Hassan Otsman El Howe, and the rest of this team absolutely nailed this ending. This is how you end a comic book. We got some other great endings this week, but Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees stood above and beyond everything else. The cream that rose to the top, creme de la creme. Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, issue number 6, the pick of the week. But let's jump over to Marvel. We got a bunch of Blood Hunt tie-ins. Blood Hunt number 1 last week was actually pretty solid. In particular, the Red Band edition. I had a lot of fun with that. Now we get the slew of tie-ins. Now, there are some tie-ins to some regular books. If I'm not reading that book, I didn't read the tie-in. I'm done with Amazing Spider-Man. I'm done with Daredevil. So just because I know there are going to be people asking, like, why didn't you read Daredevil? Why didn't you read Spider-Man? Because I don't like them. If I don't read something, it's typically because I just don't like it. I don't want to sit here and just keep bashing on things. I mean, like, I'll bash on Spider-Man for years. But anyway, Blood Hunters is an anthology series that's tied into the Blood Hunt story. So this is 3 separate stories. There's a Hawkeye story by Mark Russell and Bob Quinn. It was alright. Then there is a... what was the second story? The second story is a Man-Wolf story with great artwork by Javier Garron, and Christos Gage is the writer of that. And then Erica Schultz and Bernard Chang did a cloak, or not a cloak, but a dagger story at the end that's going to continue through the rest. It's all right. It's okay. it's not that great. I mean, it's all right. It's decent, I guess, but all it is what's going on with Hawkeye at the start of Blood Hunt? What's going on with Dagger at the start of Blood Hunt? What's going on with Manwolf at the start of Blood Hunt? I mean, they're all right. Though the artwork on the Manwolf story was really cool, but aside from that, kind of forgettable and definitely skippable if you don't want to spend too much on this current event. Then we've got Blood Hunt Dracula issue number 1, written by Danny Lore with artwork by Vincenzo Carotu. I know I butchered that, and it's all right. It's like, so if you read Blood Hunt number 1, there's something going on with Dracula and Bloodline, which is Blade's daughter. And that's a setup in that book. This is telling you everything that happened before that setup, during that setup, and slightly after that setup. So if you are interested in the continuing journey of Bloodline, check it out. But it was all right, but it just didn't work for me. I fell out of the Bloodline story. I just wasn't into it. I just wasn't vibing with it. So I wasn't really vibing with this one either, though Dracula is written pretty well. Then we've got Blood Hunt Strange Academy, a 3-issue series. Do not be fooled. This is not the triumphant return of Strange Academy by Scotty Young and Humberto Ramos, right? That is not what this is. This is other people writing it. Daniel Jose Older, Luigi Zagaria. It's all right. It does kind of spin out of events from the end of Blood Hunt number 1. So if you don't want the end of Blood Hunt number 1 spoiled for you, don't read this first. But there's a certain path, a mission, if you will, that's set up from the very last page of Blood Hunt number 1. That's a big spoiler I don't want to get to. Strange Academy gets involved. The students try to do what they can to help. This has kind of become Runaways and Young Avengers, right? There was a time where those books were, you know, meandering around. Marvel didn't really know what to do with those properties, so they would always just have them have tie-ins to these events, right? Like Civil War or Secret Invasion or something like that. That's what's happening with Strange Academy right now, and it's a disservice to the book because the characters are strong. That creative team originally was strong. They need to find somebody or rile Young and Ramos back in or find somebody else to just kind of take this and run with it. But in the meantime, I guess this is what you get. It's all right. It's cute. It's charming. It's not essential to your understanding of Blood Hunt. But if you are a Strange Academy fan, I guess you can totally check that out. Then we've got Doctor Strange issue number 15. This is a Blood Hunt tie-in. Jed MacKay is writing this book, so I figured the tie-ins might be more tied in. He also released an issue of Avengers this week, but I haven't been reading Avengers, so I didn't check that out. If you checked it out and you felt like it was a valuable tie-in to the series, please let me know. But there is something that's up with Doctor Strange that happens at the end of Blood Hunt number 1, and a big revelation, and this book continues directly from the ending of Blood Hunt number 1. So I enjoyed this issue. I've been enjoying Doctor Strange, so if you're liking Doctor Strange, check it out. Is it essential? I don't know. I won't know how essential this book is until after I read Blood Hunt issue number 2, but I will say this. Out of all of these books, this was the one that was the most tied in. And if you are picking up all of the tie-ins, definitely read Doctor Strange before you read Strange Academy. But I liked this issue, I liked the art, and I liked how it worked as a tie-in. Then we got Fantastic Four here with issue number 20. This is one of my favorite issues of this run. Now, Ryan North, he's been doing a solid-ish run of Fantastic Four. I don't always vibe with the art, in particular the coloring. The line art is fine here. It's from somebody Gomez. It's from Carlos Gomez. But I think the stories have gotten better. They all kind of are like self-contained, one-and-done stories. And this one is the Fantastic Four are locked away from all their assets, right? So they're living in Arizona, and I guess they need money. So the Human Torch and the Thing decide that they're going to get a job. And this is about their series of attempts to work together at a normal job. And I found it to be funny, charming, and at times slightly on a surface level poignant and nuanced. But I liked it. I liked it a lot. So there you go. Over at DC, we got The Boy Wonder issue number 1. A new one from DC Black Label from Junie Baugh. Colored by Chris O'Halloran, this is a Damian Wayne-centric Black Label book, not necessarily tied into continuity, but really understanding and appreciating the past of the character of Damian Wayne and where he is right now. So what this book is Damian Wayne's reflections on him as a Robin through what he expects the eyes of the other Robins to be. Does that make sense? Damian is trying to prove himself as a Robin, and in this issue, for instance, Dick Grayson is spotlighted. So Damian's comparing himself to Dick. Dick is reflecting on him as Robin. I liked it a lot. It's a very different art style, but, I mean, it's a very different art style for most mainstream comics, but this is the kind of stuff I vibe with. Chris O'Halloran's coloring is top-notch. He's the colorist of Ice Cream Man, so you know he knows what he's doing. I really like this book. Not only is it exploring Damian Wayne and his own past, present, and future, his legacy, it's also exploring the legacy of Robin, which I think is really solid. It's been done before, but it's done in a really cool graphic way there that I like. Batman 147, Chip Zdarsky's kind of boring me just a little bit. Now, we just had Free Comic Book Day, and if you checked out Free Comic Book Day and you got the absolute power from DC, this takes place right before that. So the timing could have been better, but it's basically how Amanda Waller and the failsafe / Zur&R Batman kind of meet up and how they start maybe forming their alliance that's leading into absolute power. I do love how Chip Zdarsky's Batman run has had a definitive plan from the beginning that is tied so hardcore into core DCU continuity and momentum and what they're building towards. But sometimes it just loses itself. I mean, it's got great artwork by Jorge Jimenez. There's some parts in here that really pop and sizzle and shine. But for the most part, I mean, the story's aight, but it's just, I don't know. There's something lacking in Chip Zdarsky's Batman. And it used to be when Jimenez was on the art, it worked. And it's still working, but there's something up with it. I can't quite put my finger on it, but we shall see. Kneel Before Zod is here with issue number 5, and Joe Casey is doing the Lord's work. First of all, he got rid of that stupid-ass beard that Zod has had for the last several years. Thank you, Joe Casey. Thank you for that. But also, thank you for giving us the best book in the Superman family. Heck, screw that, scratch that, let's rewind and re-say that. Thank you for one of the best books at DC right now. Usually, if there's a miniseries, maxi-series on an ongoing series that's about a villain, I'm kind of rolling my eyes. I already think that it's got some stuff working against it. It doesn't always work. In fact, it rarely works. Kneel Before Zod works. It is taking the character of Zod, who some may say has gone soft a little bit in the last few years, and it has definitely hardened him again. Zod's been captured after losing a whole bunch of personal stuff, and I don't mean his CD and DVD collection. CD and DVD collection, Robbie? What a dated reference. Zod has lost a lot of action figures from Toy Biz in the 90s. No, Zod's lost some stuff. He's been captured. He's about to wreck some shit. Zod is 100% the Doctor Doom of the DC Universe. Joe Casey is making sure that we know that in the pages of Kneel Before Zod. If you are not reading Kneel Before Zod, what in hell is wrong with you? All I want for my birthday is for you to pick up Kneel Before Zod. Even if you haven't read 1, 2, 3, or 4, hell, just read this one issue and you're gonna get it. It is freaking awesome. Trust me, Kneel Before Zod is so worth it. It's amazing. Here's Poison Ivy, issue number 22. Another villain that got an ongoing series that at first I was like, I don't know what we're doing here, because usually when this happens, you have the writer and the artist, the creative team, they have to like thread this line of having the character be relatable and almost heroic, but still maintain their villainous roots. So especially in Poison Ivy at first, there was like this line they're trying to walk, and I was really unclear and nervous whether or not G. Willow Wilson and company would be able to thread that line. They have 22 issues in. This is one of DC's best ongoing titles. It's super solid. Everything's been building up to this now that we have been retold and retold about the new origin or the new nuances of the origin of Poison Ivy. It's ready for that final confrontation with Woodrow. I absolutely love the art. It goes into psychedelic horror stuff that I just absolutely freaking love. Poison Ivy powers up a little bit. She becomes more and more attuned with the green, becomes more and more like a Swamp Thing type character. Freaking love it. Poison Ivy's been great. Then we got Shazam here with issue number 11. So this is A. Campbell. I always get Josie and Sophie confused. This is Josie Campbell and Emanuela Lupacchino on the artwork, and it's good, cheesy Shazam fun. Now, we are no longer at the heights of the Mark Waid, Dan Mora stuff, which was really strong, but not the strongest of them working together. Of course, they had to make room for Absolute Power, which is on the horizon. But Shazam is in good hands with Campbell and company. It's all right. It's silly. It's not taking itself too seriously, and at times it does come across a bit after school specially. But I don't mind that because it's not done without good intentions, and I feel like it's still sincere and earnest. So I thought it was all right. Let's jump over to Image. And from Image, we have Ain't No Grave, issue number 1 from Scotty Young and Jorge Corona. That's right. Jorge Corona's got 2 books out this week, and Ain't No Grave is awesome. So Scotty Young and Jorge Corona, they've worked before on books like Middle West, a nice kind of almost, not quite all ages, but maybe kind of like young adult into adult, like light fantasy. And then they did The Me You Love in the Dark, which was such a phenomenal series. One of my favorite books from the year it came out. And now they're back again with Ain't No Grave. Now, Ain't No Grave is a Western kind of tale. So I'll just give you the brief gist of it, but I won't spoil what the actual hook of the book is, which the cover kind of alludes to. A woman, it's kind of a Western. It's a Western. A woman finds out that she's got a disease and she's dying. If she takes this medication, she can live with her husband and her daughter for another year. But instead of doing that, she leaves her husband and daughter to trek across the world to get to a certain place to right a wrong, I guess we can say, to hit an ultimate purpose. And once you find out what that purpose is, you're like, okay, very intriguing. Amazing artwork from Jorge Corona. A really great use of panel design and composition. The way they tell the story. The dialogue is not heavy. It's light. It's what you've come to expect. It has a little bit of a fantastical, if not horror kind of tinge to it. And it is absolutely beautiful. Who did the colors? Probably Jean-Francois Ballot and Nate Picos on the lettering. But the book was beautiful. It was paced incredibly well. It's a great deal. It's $5.99, but there's a lot of pages to it. And it's so much beautiful artwork. Ain't No Grave. It's worth it. It ain't no Mort of the Month. Then we've got this Energon Universe special. This is just the Energon Universe Free Comic Book Day issue. There is nothing new. There is nothing added within these pages. But if you missed out on the Free Comic Book Day issue, you can buy this one now for $3.99. It's the exact same content. You get the Ryan Otley Megatron story. You get the Void Rivals tease for the next story. And you get some setup for G.I. Joe. It's a really great issue. It was my favorite issue of Free Comic Book Day. But I would encourage you not to pay for this unless you're like me and you really need that Daniel Warren Johnson cover in your life. That Daniel Warren Johnson cover, that's it. Can we get a nice print of that, please? Skybound, please. Please. Can you give us that? Then we've got Transformers issue number 8 from Daniel Warren Johnson and artist Jorge Corona. And I'm pleased to report that this series has not gone down in its energy and its level of excitement or in its momentum at all. Jorge Corona's come in and stepped right in. It's still distinctly Corona, but definitely in the gritty, high dynamic nature of Daniel Warren Johnson. It does not skip a beat visually, and the story is good. I will say this, Carly, starting to get on my nerves. Carly's starting to get on my nerves. I hope we get this subplot to its conclusion very, very soon. But aside from that, I love the book. A new Decepticon shows up, one of my personal favorites. I was very excited to see that. Every issue of Transformers gets me nerding out. I'm about to turn 43, and this book makes me feel like a kid again. And that's freaking awesome. Then we've got Geiger here with issue number 2. What an amazing issue of Geiger. Issue number 2 of Geiger continues the story from the first issue, which is a new volume. So I would encourage everybody, if you haven't been reading Geiger, get the back issues, that previous series, get the trade paperback, whatever it takes, get caught up, jump into this. Such an impeccably paced and plotted out story. The ideas, the characterization, the structure of the narrative, and how everything kind of perfectly works together. It is absolutely top notch, and it's taking very much a Sergio Leone, like Man with No Name kind of vibe to it, right? So it's post-apocalyptic, but it's really now leaning more not only into the Western nature, not only into the spaghetti Western nature, but the Leone nature, and I'm here for it. It's great. It's awesome. Geiger thinks he knows that there's this idea that somebody had Geiger's condition. He's been cured. Now he's out there with a new apprentice, let's say, trying to find his way through this cure. What a great issue. What a great setup. I'm loving it. And Gary Frank is seriously doing the work of his career right now. And you know what? So is Jeff Johns. Great action scenes, great character building moments, and still building out that world. All right, then we got the Sacrificers here with issue number 8. Y'all, if Beneath the Trees did not nail that ending the way that they did, this would have been the pick of the week. This is awesome. This is a turning point in the story. Sacrificers is about this world that's ruled by these gods. And these gods, they require a tribute from all of these different clans or different cities or whatever, right? So once every so often, they have to give up one of their children to the gods as a sacrifice to make sure everything's good. Well, in the first arc, we build up to this through the eyes of those who are the sacrificed ones, right? And they find out that the gods are not quite the gods. They're not benevolent. They're not good. They're not nice. And the whole idea and ritual and ordeal of the sacrifice is bullshit, right? They find that out. But this book has become tragic and incredibly sad. This is a very sad issue, but at the end, incredibly powerful. This is a turning point. Pigeon is on his own. Feels like shit. He's the only survivor of these sacrificers. Everything seems ruined. Is it all his fault? Is it not? What decision will he make? The journey on here, like I said, very melancholy, very sad. But by the end, very powerful and inspiring. And maybe even uplifting. Then we've got the One Hand here with issue number 4. Holy cow. This book starts off with simple premise. The One Hand is about a killer. But it's actually about the detective. The detective who has solved the mystery of the One Hand killer, right? And then on the eve of his retirement, the killings start again, putting into question, did you really capture the real killer? Okay, and then there's another book, Six Fingers. The Six Fingers, which go along with the One Hand, okay? And they all work together. Six Fingers from the killer's perspective. This book, The One Hand, from the detective's perspective. They work together. Ron V's writing this. Lawrence Campbell is on the art. Lee Lowridge is on the coloring. And Aditya Bidikar on the lettering. Tom Mueller on the design work. Six Fingers, done by Dan Waters, Sumit Kumar. They have become so intertwined. I do believe, I guess you could still read each series on its own, but you're missing it. You're missing it big. They both are so completely tied in together. And one of the things that a bunch of us asked, I like this detective story, but why is it set in this futuristic world? This story, this mystery, this tale that's being wove is really starting to let us know why it's necessary for this story to be told in this world, right? And I'm not spoiling anything, but the more that this mystery deepens, the more that these characters enrichen, the more this world develops, the more this is a masterpiece of a comic book. And Ram V's use of language, just like his cohort Dan Waters on Six Fingers, it's impeccable. It's untouched. Last Mermaid, issue number 3. If it wasn't for Beneath the Trees completely nailing their ending, if it wasn't for Sacrificers completely nailing the turning point of that tragic-ass book, Last Mermaid would be your pick of the week. Derek Kirk Kim is doing a hell of a job with this book. Beautiful, amazing artwork, a great concept. It is told mostly visually, which comic books are a visual medium, so they gotta look good. They gotta tell that story visually. Holy freaking cow. It's about this mermaid in this desolate planet. She is existing in this like mech suit, right? Like a bubble of water with like arms and legs. She's got this like friend who's like this, what is it? Axolotl? An axolotl? The energy, the emotion. I am so on board with this book. I need an animated series or animated movie stat. I need to see this interpreted in movement. I need to see this in action because the book seems like storyboards, but it's not just storyboards. It's like a beautifully rendered comic book. The colors are amazing. The design is amazing. The pacing is amazing. The emotional roller coaster nature of the book is amazing. It's a freaking amazing book, and it's a fantastic book. This is a really good week for comics. Last Mermaid number 3. That shit slapped. Then we've got The Deviant here with issue number 5. We take a look into the past of our main character and what their connection is to this deviant killer. So The Deviant is about this Santa Claus Christmas era killer from back in the 70s. He was captured. He was a gay man, and so there's a lot of like hate that's thrown at him. But in the modern day, there's a writer who's writing a story about it. Actually, a comic book, right? James Tynion always kind of puts himself in these things, but hopefully not too much of himself in this one. But this person's trying to understand the motivations of this killer, and maybe it wasn't that killer. Maybe there was something else. This story's gone deep. Now, the only problem with this book is it feels like it's very inconsistent on its release schedule. So when I'm reading this, I don't remember where we left off, but this was a great issue. It was mostly told in our main character's past, and it led to some revelations where you're like, shit, bruh. That book is awesome. Then we got Gunslinger Spawn here with issue number 31. Since Spawn 350, and I guess what, the dead zones have been closed and all the spawns have been cut off from their power. Ever since then, Gunslinger Spawn's just not really been working for me. This issue, though, one of the stronger ones since. I do think that Barberi's artwork was very solid in this issue. There are some moments that really pop and shine and sizzle and soar, and other words that start with S and maybe a P in there every so often. But I just don't really like this new sidekick that he's got, but I am coming around on that character, and it's all right. If you've been reading Gunslinger Spawn, it's still good. And it's starting to strengthen again. So Gunslinger Spawn's pretty dope. Scorched, though, Scorched has gotten better since the Dead Zone lock from Spawn 350. So you got John Layman now writing this book with Todd McFarlane doing additional scripting. And the agency has been reactivated. Jason Wynn is back. And now the Scorched, this book just almost kicked my ass. Did y'all see that? Did that actually happen? But the Scorched, so they're after the agency, and shit goes really bad for the Scorched in this issue, and I'm all here for it. I really liked this issue. It was raising the stakes, and it actually felt like it had some movement moving forward. Movement moving. I don't know why I have these awards right here. I just said it gave us the sense of movement moving. I Hate Fairyland is here with issue number 14, kicking off a new arc. I love this book. Crude, rude, irreverent, silly, fun, gigantic, moronic splendor. And it sets up a story that's really cool. Basically, Gertrude is going to learn the price she's going to have to pay for her negligence and for not doing her due diligence and actually taking care of a situation when she should have. If you like I Hate Fairyland, you're going to continue to like it. The book was really fun. The Oddly Pedestrian Life of Christopher Chaos, issue number 9. Now that the first arc is over and the in-between kind of look at Adam Frankenstein's story, now that that's over, we get back to the vibe of the story. We get back into Christopher Chaos. We get back into him and this monster club, this monster squad kind of thing that they got going on. I'm loving this book. I think it's great. This issue now kind of kicking off the official second arc, right? Because that last story was kind of like a go-between, filling in some gaps of information through the history. But this one gets back to the vibe of what we're doing. It gives us the sense of movement moving, one might even say. But Christopher Chaos has been a great book. This was a great issue. Taking things from the beginning of this book, tying it back in, bringing some stuff in, and very much a great setup for things to come. Then we got Monsters Are My Business, issue number 2 from Cullen Bunn, Patrick Piazzalunga, Marco Bracco, and Jim Campbell. This book is Gigantic Moronic Splendor. It's just fun. It's about a monster hunter. He's got this like cute little like koala bear looking thing with him who's got a bad attitude. He's just fighting these gnarly like Lovecraftian type monsters, and he's got this like servitor in the midst of it. It's just wild, bonkers fun. Like, seriously, this has been one of the more solid Cullen Bunn books that I've read over the last few years, honestly. But Monsters Are My Business, and business is good. Issue number 2 was pretty freaking solid. Usagi Yojimbo, The Crow, issue number 2. Yeah, no Eric Draven, but a masterful Usagi Yojimbo story. All these pieces that have been building up from this first issue, before this one, and the story before that, it all comes to a head. Usagi and his cousin, and the return of Jen and some other familiar faces in the Usagi lore and mythos. It all is coming to a head here, and this is just a great comic book, and it has been for like 40 years. Like, Usagi Yojimbo is celebrating 40 years. So is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Stan Sakai is a master at this game, and if you have never ever taken the chance to read Usagi Yojimbo, why? Do it. It's one of the best comics ever, and it has consistently been great for 40 years. You deserve to have Usagi Yojimbo in your life. You can start at the very beginning. Get that Fantagraphics box set. It's fantastic. It's great stuff. You can get the Dark Horse Saga collections to continue that story. Or you can just find Usagi Yojimbo, The Crow, issue number 1, read that, and then jump in here. Or, honestly, you can just jump in here, because Stan Sakai never lets you feel like you're just dust in the wind. He lets you feel like you're a part of the story, and you have been for 40 years. This book is awesome. If you do one thing for my birthday this week, send me something off my Amazon wish list. If you do 2 things my birthday this week, read Kneel Before Zod. All of it. It's worth it. If you do 3 things, read some Usagi Yojimbo. Introduce that into your life. Crocodile Black, issue number 1, a new one from Boom Studios, written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, with artwork by colors by Patricio Del Pici. This was an interesting book. I did enjoy it. I wouldn't say that it completely hooked me in. It's about the time right during COVID, and this kid is taking a delivery driver job. He's got an overbearing mother because he's dealing with like anxiety and like attention deficit disorder or something like that. And he finds his parents kind of controlling. He winds up on a delivery coming across a dead body. It flicks something in his brain, probably the wrong way. And now the story's developing out of that. Not sure where this one is going, but it was intriguing enough of a story for me to like be very much intrigued by it. It was intriguing enough for me to be intrigued by it, and it also gave us the sense of movement moving. I'm not winning any CBC awards this year. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Black, White, and Green from IDW, celebrating 40 years of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is the start of a new anthology. So, You know all the black, white, and red anthologies. It's just like that. But with the turtles, you got Declan Shalvey doing a book. Holy freaking cow, or doing a story. His Leatherhead is amazing. His turtles are great. Declan Shalvey bringing some texture to his stories. But it was a nice focused Donatello story that I liked. In the second story, we got Jesse Lonergan, who we know right now from Man's Best, but I got to meet him and hang out with him a little bit last year at Heroes Con. Such a cool dude. Such a cool story. Leo gets like sent into some other universe or something like that. But that was a great story. Then you got the second story. It's about Raphael fighting with his brothers. It was all right. And then the backup story was really interesting. The very last one. So 4 different stories, all told in black, white, and green. You don't have to read anything before. You don't have to read anything after. If you just want some good, solid turtle stories in your life with some good, solid artwork, check out that book. It was actually pretty solid. Then we've got Mugshots issue number 1. This is from Mad Cave Studios. Who is the creative team? Jordan Thomas is the writer. The artist is Chris Matthews. The letterer is Lucas Gattoni. This was a great book. Crime fiction, mafia-based. This woman, young lady, gets kidnapped probably because of the connection she has to her uncle, who is a figure in the crime world who is not very much respected or wanted around, and he gets wrapped all back up into it. A great sense of art, monochromatic. I really liked it. I really liked it. This seems like the artist of a book. There was a book from Behemoth, which I think became Sumerian. I can't remember the name of it. It's very Sin City-like. I think this was the same artist. I wasn't vibing on that book. I really like this book. I really like this story. I'm down for it. If you like crime fiction, mafia stuff, check this one out this week. That's your sleeper hit of the week right there. Also from Mad Cave, we got Morningstar issue number 2. A book with issue number 1 that kind of confused me, but with D.B. Andre and Tim Daniel on the writing and Marco Finnegan on the art. Knowing David and knowing the work that he does with Tim, I was definitely going to check out issue number 2. I trust this book is going to pull itself together. It does start pulling itself together. And that right there, I don't do panel of the week or anything like that. But if I did, that would be the panel of the week. That is freaking gorgeous. That is beautiful. The story is starting to piece together. It's about this family who recently lost their father, the head of the family. Or I don't know if he's the head, but he's the father, he's the husband. He's like firefighter or something like that, right? And he died. And so this is them kind of dealing with that. So it's about grief. It's about like an exploration of that. But then there's something else going on. There's a missing child. There's maybe something supernatural vibing. And it's not quite fully clicking in yet. Man, that art, that panel, the tragedy, the feeling, the grief, it feels so real, so earnest, so sincere. It's definitely something that's worth checking out. Morningstar is definitely one I'm going to be taking a closer look at. Then we got The Devil That Wears My Face, issue number 6, the final issue of this book from Mad Cave, written by David Pepose, artwork by Alex Cormack, and Justin Birch on the lettering, all friends of the show, all great creators, all doing some gnarly, awesome stuff. So this is a book about a demon who possesses a priest of the Catholic Church back in like the 1700s, right? And uses that position as possessing a priest to basically take control of the Vatican by the end of the last issue. And here we have the crazy-ass conclusion. Let me tell you something. I respect every single person that's working on this book. I really do. David Pepose, solid writer. Alex Cormack, brilliant artist. Justin Birch, phenomenal letterer. This is the best final issue they've ever done in their careers. Individually and, of course, collectively. I think this is the first book where they've all worked together. Justin and Alex have worked together. I don't think David's worked with those two before. This book's phenomenal. This ending was phenomenal. This ending was amazing. In fact, if Beneath the Trees did not land that ending, and if The Last Mermaid was not so awesome, and if Sacrificers was not so tragically awesome, this would be your pick of the week. This is one of those weeks where there's like 5 or 6 books that could have been the pick of the week. This one could have easily been one. In fact, let's give it a honorable mention, like 100%, like whatever it takes, read this book. If you like horror, if you like gnarly exorcist priest, just look at that page. The art is amazing, the story is amazing, the everything about this book just sizzles. Sizzles is a word I'm using today. Better than movement moving. This goes beyond just letting us know that movement moves or that intriguing stories can intrigue. It lets us know how to end a comic book. The best ending of David Papose's career. And he's got some good endings. All right, then we got this new one from Strangers Press. It's called Missing Number. It's a little tiny one. I don't know how much this costs. There's not a price on this. Well, when I get into work tomorrow, I got to make sure to somehow let the price be known on this. So this was an interesting one. It's laid out like a manga. It's from Valentin de las Casas. I didn't really understand this book. They're video games. These two people playing video games together. I didn't really quite get it, but I was mesmerized by this artwork. Absolutely mesmerized by this artwork. So, it's not going to be for everybody, but it was definitely for me. They're playing like Dance Dance Revolution or something. I have no idea what was going on in the pages of Missing Number. I think it's like a mystery that there's supposed to be clues in there or something. I have no idea, but I'm glad I checked it out because the artwork was phenomenal. All right, trade paperback-wise. Miracle Man, The Silver Age, Neil Gaiman, Mark Buckingham, revisiting their work on Miracle Man. So now it's complete, Silver Age, and it's out in trade paperback. I guess we got the Dark Age coming. So I picked this up because I've never read any of the Neil Gaiman Miracle Man stuff, only the Alan Moore stuff. So now you can get the Alan Moore stuff in one complete collection from Marvel. I will not talk about how I hate the censorship and the recoloring in it, because at least it's cool to have. Then you can get the Golden Age from Neil Gaiman, which I've still yet to read, and then the Silver Age. So we're getting closer and closer to that conclusion of Miracle Man, and after which I bet Marvel's going to continue after that and probably just fuck it all up. All right, so Missing Number, didn't understand it, but like loved the artwork. The Devil That Wears My Face was such an amazing ending. Morning Stars is tightening it up, but it's really sincere in its exploration of grief. Mugshots, your sleeper pick of the week. Really great crime fiction mafia story with solid monochromatic artwork there. TMNT, black, white, and green. Solid stories about the turtles with great artwork. Crocodile Black was a very intriguing start. Usagi Yojimbo, you need that in your life. Monsters Are My Business. It's just silly fun. Christopher Chaos is so awesome. Y'all need to read that. I Hate Fairyland, charming and irreverent and crude. Scorched. Gunslinger, kind of tightened up just a little bit. The Deviant, really gnarly and even a little bit unsettling. The Last Mermaid, phenomenal. The One Hand, pitch perfect. The Sacrificers, what's another word? Extravagantly awesome. Geiger, extravagantly amazing. Transformers, extravagantly exciting and bringing the kid alive in me. The Energon Universe, only buy it if you didn't get a chance to get the free comic book day one, or you just want that great ass cover. In fact, cover of the week, I forgot. Cover of the week, we'll go to that Energon Universe. And the smell of the week will go to Geiger. Smell of the week goes to Geiger with a runner-up smell of the week for The Last Mermaid. Ain't No Grave, Scotty Young, Jorge Corona, Western, doing what they do, really solid stuff. Shazam, a little after-school special, but still funny and nice and charming. Poison Ivy, really good. Kneel Before Zod, freaking awesome. Batman, it's kind of losing me. The Boy Wonder, though, definitely worth checking out, especially if you're a Robin fan. Fantastic Four, that might be my favorite issue of that one yet. Doctor Strange, the best tie-in that I read to Blood Hunt so far. Strange Academy, it's aight, but it's not essential. Dracula Blood Hunt, it's aight, but it's not essential. Blood Hunters, it's a book. It's okay. But the pick of the week is Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, issue number 6, because they completely nail the ending. This book never faltered. It never went down. It was always super strong and moving forward. It gave us the sense of movement moving. That's what I read. That's what I dug. What are you reading? What are you digging? Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And join us over at popculturephilosophers.com for podcast blogs and a whole lot more. I've been Rockin' Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Station. Pop, pop, boom.